weather. I'm going to be blowing my nose a couple times. I'm going to try to be a good guest and mute my mic whenever that happens.
I got
But
you.
I might give you like a hand signal if I need to mute for a second.
Everybody's that way. I get you, man. Especially your teacher. God bless you. I hear you. My wife and I just had dinner real quick, and she was sneezing. So
yeah, it's that time.
I told her, I'm like, I work from home now, and I'm going to Disneyland in 6 days to run. I'm like, don't get me sick.
Keep it pristine. Yeah.
Like, I made it through Dopey. I got 6 more days till I go to Disneyland. I'm just trying to make it through the 2 race weekends without getting sick. Stop.
Yeah.
Don't sneeze at me. Yeah, so that's one of those things. And she's like, shut up. You're going to Disneyland. Stop. I'll be teaching kids. Well, I did it with you forever. Now. All right, so there's that. Too many windows here. What's going on over here? All right. Wait, what happened? Hang on 1 second. Copy. Okay. There we go. All right. Silence my phone. My dad's notorious for calling during the podcast. I don't know. He works in radio and he still calls me every time I'm on the air. I swear. I do this. Well, tonight he would have an excuse because it's always Wednesday nights. I never record on Thursday nights. So really tonight I couldn't yell at him because I'd be like, I record every Wednesday night since 2008. You're always, you know that. You always, because he gets to bust through my do not disturb because he's in my priority, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because in case anything happens to him.
Sure. If he calls tonight, you should say, I always record on Thursday. You know this.
I'm like, dude, I've been recording everything. So this one's going to come out not this Monday, but a week from Monday when I'm on my way home from Disneyland. I'm jumping ahead a week.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Here we go. So what number? 2635. Welcome to episode 2635 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. And once again, congratulations to all of our Run Disney lizards, all the Be Our Guest Podcast lizards, everybody who went out to the West Coast and took on the Disneyland half marathon races, the 5K, the 10K, the half marathon. And dare I say, those people who are crazy enough to get out there in front of the castle and stretch and bend, and you guys did the yoga. That one right there, no way. I'm the Tin Man and I know my limits. I can run the races. You are never going to see Mike Rallman on a yoga mat in a Disney park. That would be something that would be, it'd be a very funny TikTok video. I mean, that'd be worth bringing TikTok back for sure, just to see me try to do. I don't even know what the downward dog is. I don't even know what the poses are called, but I am the most inflexible person on the face of the planet. I go straight, and that's it at this point in my life. So I will not be doing the yoga, but I just hope everybody had a great time out there in Disneyland. You got your medals, you made your memories, got those great finish line pictures. And hopefully had a corn dog and what else? A churro. Have to have a churro. And man, I hope the Matterhorn bobsleds did you right, because they probably did not do me right. But anyway, we're back. We have a good time. Great trip report today. Headed back to Walt Disney World, and we're going to talk a little New Year's Eve anniversary trip and lots of fun with Mitch down in Oklahoma City. Mitch, happy Monday. What's going on?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you on the show. So how are things down in the Mid-South?
Well, you tell me it's about 20 degrees this morning, and that was after a warming trend. So that's about how we are. I'm about 2 weeks removed from being in Central Florida, and even though it wasn't terribly warm when I was there, I miss whatever that was.
Yeah, I did see the day we're recording, because we are recording this one a little bit early because of the trip out to Disneyland, because I want to make sure I have a show for you here. I did see that going into tomorrow as we're recording, the wind chill in Central, there's a warning that the wind chill is going to be 28 tomorrow morning, and Walt Disney World. So sorry for all those people who thought it was going to be like 75 when they went down there. That's not good.
I was told this was Florida. What's happening?
I know. The good news is it usually bounces back quickly. I mean, here in Missouri, we've been in a deep freeze for a good couple of weeks. We've had snow on the ground. We still have our front yard and backyard still covered in snow, and it was covered before marathon weekend. So it's been on the ground at least 17 or 18 days at this point. So, at least you don't have that down there. But anyway, we're going to be talking about your trip. I can't wait to hear about it. But let's get into some of your background. Now, before the show, we got talking about you have the most excellent backdrop there in your office. You have a great historical park map of the Magic Kingdom that was gifted to you. You've mounted. It's on some foam board. It looks awesome. So, and you're also a teacher, which we love our teachers here on the podcast. So you're a Disney fan, right? Huge Disney fan. We're going to get into kind of how you've brought your wife over brought her over into the fandom. But where did it all start for you?
Started early in childhood when I was a small child in the mid 90s. We lived in Tampa for a few years, and so we would be able to just head over to Walt Disney World on a random weekend or even on a random Saturday or Sunday. And so in just 3 or so years living down there, we made regular visits as a family as annual pass holders, and then I've caught the bug there, and then made a few family trips back throughout elementary, middle school, and high school. And sort of by the time I was finishing college and finishing grad school, I was like, this is just who I'm going to be. This is going to be my primary vacation destination. And then, as you alluded to, once I got married, I sort of converted my wife into the cult. We went on our honeymoon. She had been once before and she liked it, but she was a little like, really, Disney on the honeymoon? And then we went, and it was magical. And she was like, yes, I'm in. And we've been back together 5 or 6 times since then. And so she's fully on board now.
See, I'm trying to think about that too with my relationship with my wife, right? Because I was a Disney fan, and my wife, she loves Disney. Like, she loves our Disney vacations, but obviously she doesn't listen to my podcast. I think this is her break for me every week. When I go down to the studio, close the door, she gets on the treadmill, does her walking, watches her Netflix, whatever. So she doesn't read the blogs or anything like that. She likes going on vacation, and that's it. She loves the actual vacations of it. She loves being at the destinations on the ships. Is it like that for your wife, or is she somebody who has gone like hog heaven into it, or is she just somebody who enjoys the going on the trips, just that?
No, she's become every bit as zealous as I am. When we are vacationing, it's not that we're opposed to having some relaxing time. Like, we do enjoy kicking our feet up and resting some, but what we cannot do is spend a week on a beach doing nothing.
Yeah.
That's not our idea of good time. And when we've had those trips with like large family groups, they're a lovely time and they're good memories, but that's not our idea of how we would spend our time. So when we go to Walt Disney World, we are really, really busy. We have a pretty aggressive strategy for touring the parks and really try not to leave any time unused, especially on the shorter trips. We only have a few nights. We really try to milk every minute. And the only time when I feel like I'm really dragging her is when I say what time I think we should wake up and get to the park each morning. But that's a little bit of my privilege because it takes me a lot less time to get ready. But yeah, once we're there, we're both on board for getting everything we can out of the parks.
Great thoughts. You're right. Tread lightly with the wake up times.
She will listen to this, so I better acknowledge that.
Okay. Let me give her a little. Good. Here you go. I'll give her a little. So I have a wife and a 28-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old daughter. So I tread lightly with the wake up times. That can definitely get me killed 3 times over. So I got to be super. It's like you can get up whatever. The line I always get is you can get up whatever time you want. We'll meet you at the park. And I'm like, works for me, because that's how, I'll see you. I'm usually, ready for lunch by the time they get there, so whatever.
No, if I tried that for the first time, it would be the last time.
That's different. I'm older, right? It's like, dude, I'm in a different part of my life. All right. So One other thing I was going to ask you, because you are a teacher, and I love hearing how our teachers kind of go about this, and we appreciate you being in the classroom. Every one of our teachers, it's just a thankless job. How do you bring Disney to your students, and do you share that fandom of Disney and incorporate it into your lessons?
That's a great question. I certainly am not shy about the Disney part of my personality and my interests. I wouldn't say that I incorporate it into my teaching necessarily, but all the reference points are there. And sometimes, if I'm just trying to get some students to just drop a certain subject or not let something bother them, I'll say treat it like Elsa and let it go, let it go. Um, but I've got various Disney decorations around the classroom from time to time. I've got like a nameplate that my wife bought for me for Christmas that's got my name written in the Disney script with a little silhouetted Mickey Mouse and some Disney staples on the classroom playlist and stuff like that. So it's definitely present.
Well, let me ask you this too. One last thing on that, because I have a theory. And it was true in St. Louis, in every building I was in our district in North St. Louis County. And I've heard this all over the country. It's not just like a Florida thing. And it was, because St. Louis is 1,000 miles from Florida. Is there a lot of people on your staff that are Disney fans? Like, I think that teachers are drawn to Disney. There were a lot, every staff I've ever been on, it seems like an inordinate amount of like uber Disney fans on that staff. We've had DEC members, we've had folks that have been platinum Disney Cruise Line members. I don't know, maybe that's not that way in Oklahoma, but it seems like with teachers, there's just a lot of like Disney fans that are in the know.
That's definitely not my experience. I've definitely found the people who I work with who I feel like I'm talking to a peer when it comes to Disney knowledge, that I don't have to explain what the different attractions or kind of different acronyms are. It's generally known that I'm a Disney person at school, and people are happy to talk about it, and will come to me if they have questions or things like that. But no, I don't think it's my experience that it's trendy or particularly common at our school. Yeah, but our school has a lot of young staff. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of folks who are sort of in that like middle age, sort of established financially demographic.
Yeah, and see,
Yeah,
that's a good point, because most of the people I'm talking about were older than I was, 'cause I was a
yeah,
younger teacher, and they were, like, bought into DVC, right? With
sure,
they were taking their grandkids at the time,
yeah,
and it was, like, I'd be walking down the hall, and, of course, I had, like, Disney decorations in my classroom, and, again, like Disney fans, they would say DVC, or they would talk about going to Epcot, or we're gonna pass through the TTC, and you're like, "Ho, ho, 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 you're speaking my language, what's up?
yeah, yeah.
We're on the
No,
same wavelength here."
shout out to Sergeant Smith, our student resource officer at school. He and his family, they are veterans, and he knows what he's doing. I can always count on a good chat with him whenever we've got a trip upcoming or talk about something we've just recently done. But I don't have a whole lot of people who I can really engage on that level with.
That's awesome. We appreciate our SROs too. Thank you for being there, keeping those schools safe. All right. So let's jump into this trip. So now you guys, unique trip, your first time down, I think from your notes, without your child, and you guys are going over New Year's Eve, but you weren't in the parks on New Year's Eve, which I've always been in the parks with all the crazies and the lunatics, which I'm one of them, I guess. So how did this trip come together? How'd you guys decide to go down to Walt Disney World over New Year's Eve in the beginning of the 2025?
So the basis of this trip, the reason we wanted to plan this trip, other than just having an excuse to plan the trip, was this past December was our 10th wedding anniversary. And as I mentioned earlier, we went on our honeymoon to Walt Disney World in December of 2014 over Christmas. We were in Walt Disney World in the parks on Christmas Day. Before that was just a truly terrible idea to be in the park on Christmas Day. And so we knew we wanted to go in December to celebrate our 10th anniversary and sort of commemorate the honeymoon in that way. And it just sort of happened that based on our childcare needs and my school calendar, that right over New Year's and the first few days of January ended up being the time that we could get away and get down there. So we had no designs to participate in the New Year's festivities at Walt Disney World. We can tolerate the crowds at the parks because we're seasoned veterans and we kind of know the hacks and we know the strategy. But the idea of Like, there's no place in the world I want to be less than Times Square on New Year's Eve.
I'm with you there. No, see,
And
people are always like, "Gotta do it once in your life." I'm like, "No, I'm not
nope,
doing it once
nope,
in my life." No,
nope,
not me.
never, and never is too many. Uh, and the idea of being in Magic Kingdom or Epcot for those times is not a whole lot more appealing. So
Epcot is
we
awesome. I gotta
we
say, I love Epcot. Once, I mean, not even once. I've done it a bunch of times. Like I can do it once a year. Like I could not do. It
and
is insanity, but it's like, but if you're there with a bunch of friends, you can tolerate it. Like
and
it is. You're
maybe when
right.
I was younger and I tended to get overstimulated less easily, maybe, but
You
in
don't
this
want to
season
be
of
there.
life, that's a
Yeah.
hard pass.
I'm just telling you, man. Yeah, bitch. If you don't want to be there, don't be there, dude. Because it is. If you have any doubts, don't enter those gates because it is
And,
a nut house. Yeah,
and I'll
totally.
tell you, I felt vindicated in my choice. We still had a lovely New Year's Eve. We went and spent the evening over at Grand Floridian,
Right.
had dinner, had some cocktails, and could see the New Year's fireworks from our table at dinner. And then we went back to our room at Coronado Springs, and even from our seventh floor room, could hear the bass from
Yo,
from the celebration they're having downstairs at the resort. And the fact that that went on past midnight was obnoxious enough for me. So I'm happy to let them have their fun. It's New Year's Eve, whatever. I'll get over. I'll go to sleep later. But I was like, yeah, I should not be in the parks right now.
you made the right call.
Yeah,
You made the right call for you. You did you
yeah,
exactly right. You
yeah.
know, it's insanity. It's wild. I mean, they got the fire breathing dragon in China. You got the silent disco in Japan. You got Italy. I don't know what that is. That's just like a techno. I don't know. And it's nuts. But I'm telling you, you made the right call if you don't want all that going on. Now, a couple things though. So you went over the Grand Floridian. Was that just kind of a chill night, like a good dinner? Just, I mean, it sounds like, I mean, you kind of, everybody else in the world's looking to be crazy that night, and you guys kind of went against the grain and really had a chill evening.
Yeah, we intentionally didn't have a park ticket that day, and on the first night of our honeymoon way back when, we spent that evening at Grand Floridian having dinner at Narcoossee's, and it was a very, very memorable, special night for us. First night of our honeymoon, our first night after our wedding, very, very special. And so we wanted to make a point to go and celebrate there. And my wife is Belle is her favorite princess. Beauty and the Beast is her favorite of the Disney films, and she's been dying to go see the Enchanted Rose, which we had not made it to yet. So we had a casual dinner at the Grand Floridian Cafe, which was lovely, overpriced but lovely. And then went to the Enchanted Rose and enjoyed that atmosphere and got to see the tree and the gingerbread house and just enjoy being in that lobby. But even that was insanely crowded with people coming from the parks or on their way to the parks.
Yeah.
It was a really, really busy night there just in the lobby at the Grand.
That's, yeah, people were out and about, man. New Year's Eve.
All those paper party hats
Yeah.
and all the different party supplies they had going. People were absolutely ready.
The noisemakers at Epcot. The noise when they start Epcot, like if you're there like from like 2 in the afternoon, they start giving out the noisemakers around 6 or 7. Dude, is just in it's crazy at that point. It's like stop. Um,
Epcot is my favorite park, but you could not pay me to be there in that moment.
I'm telling you, yeah, you know, I mean, I'm like half of me is like telling you, you got to do it once, but I'm telling you, I can tell from your personality, you probably shouldn't.
No,
But
not for me.
some of my best nights I have been New Year's Eve at Epcot, just because of I've been there with just like Pam, Ricky, Scott. I mean, because it's just but I mean, I've also waited 90 minutes to go to the bathroom, and the only thing I could get to eat was like white rice in China. So I mean, it's like dinner. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not for the weak, or you better be ready. I mean, it's
Come on, get this guy a pretzel or a tostada. Let's
I'm
go.
telling you, dude, it is like you better pack some Cheez-Its because
Uh-huh.
it's like Epcot Survivor if you're not planning
Mm.
what's going on. Anyway, so but let me ask you about this. So Coronado Springs is where you stayed. That's where I was too, just a couple weeks ago. What'd you guys think of your stay there?
Love Coronado Springs. I stayed there as a kid when it was a very, very new resort. Of course, long before Grand Casino, and I remember us thinking, "Man, this feels so spread out. It's so big." And so we were excited about getting to stay at Grand Destino, and really, really enjoyed our experience there. The grounds and the room were terrific. Um, and yeah, I just thought it was really, really pretty. For we had heard that it feels like you're staying at a deluxe resort for moderate prices, and we really, really felt that in our experience. Um, Still, like, I'm always finding how much I value the number of transportation options that you have at the deluxe resorts, or even the ones that are on the Skyliner. And that was certainly something that got on my nerves throughout our short trip. Was, man, it's always these buses, huh? But really, other than that, Coronado's terrific.
See, I was super lucky. When I was down there for marathon, I was there for 6 days. I thought the buses were jamming this time, but I swear with the buses, it's such a crapshoot, right? I mean, I went out there and I had a room in the Rancho, so I wasn't in the tower. And here's, again, this isn't even a hot take. It's just the facts of life. Is that the tower is the last stop on the bus loop, which is so weird. It is so weird because of the most expensive rooms. I was in the Ranchos in the back, and it's a second stop, so I was always guaranteed a good spot.
It's also labeled bus station 1.
I know it's so messed up because I was at bus stop 2, and it was. Is that the first stop? I don't even know.
Yeah. And it's a silly thing to get frustrated over, and I only did because this was a short trip. We were going to have about 2.5 days in the parks, and for me that feels like 2 hours, and so I was really feeling every 30 minutes we weren't there yet. I was frustrated, and that's a me problem. And I'll go on that journey in my own time. Thank you very much.
I get you. I mean, that's how I think a lot of our folks are. You're just antsy. You want to get there. You want to maximize your time because we don't get there enough. I mean, you're traveling all the way from Oklahoma. I totally get that. So you get there. So this is New Year's Day. I love the idea. I've always said the place to go on New Year's Day is Epcot because all the crazies went there, and this was me many, many times on New Year's Eve. And the last place you probably want to bounce back to after you jumped out of there at 1:00 in the morning with all the noisemakers and hats and lunatics is to go right back the next morning. So you guys went there the next day and no lightning lane or anything. So how was this New Year's Day at Epcot?
Yeah, what you're saying is part of our precise strategy. We thought, you know what, Epcot's probably going to be more manageable on New Year's Day because of all the party goers not wanting to be there. And it was a terrific day at Epcot. The crowds really felt manageable throughout the day. Things always get crazier as you get into the evening times, I think, because maybe the locals are coming to go to dinner or what, I don't know. But we were at Epcot from not quite rope drop from about maybe 10 o'clock until park closing at 9. And we got kicked out of the park. Tried to go ride Living with Land one more time after dinner, and they were just closing down for the night. So rather than stay for Luminous, we head back to the buses, and we had a terrific time. Didn't do every attraction. My wife is pregnant right now. That's one thing that I hadn't mentioned yet, but we planned this trip long before that came about. But it meant that a lot of the attractions weren't going to be available to us, and so that one, I was sad we weren't going to do Guardians, but also it took some pressure off the Epcot day, not having to worry about the getting a boarding group for Guardians. And since we're not buying Lightning Lane, the idea of riding Remy or Frozen is basically out the window. So we can just kind of hop in the rides that we like the queue time for. But other than that, the World Showcase is our home. We'll walk around that circle as many times as we have time for eating and drinking and snacking and shopping, and that was a great day.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, Mallory's 17 years old driving her car and, acting like she's 25 at this point. But I mean, I remember when we went down to Walt Disney World when my wife was pregnant with her, like that was one of the best trips ever. And initially I was kind of disappointed that, we're not going to have a great trip because we're now like in a box. That's how I thought about it. Right. Because back then I was like, this was 17 years ago. I'm older now, so I can appreciate slowing down. But back then, I was just like 100 miles an hour all the time when it came to the theme parks. And I was just like, oh, man, now we can't do, back then, Splash Mountain. We can't do Big Thunder. We can't do Space. But you know what? That was like the best trip because we did do the smaller things, but we enjoyed the conversations. We enjoyed the people watching. We enjoyed the meals. We took the meals were a little bit longer. We weren't in such a rush. And the shows, we took in shows that we never took the time to see. And it was one of the more enjoyable trips. So I think that's a great message to put out to people that when you have circumstances like this, maybe somebody's injured and, for one trip, you're going to have to slow down because maybe a mobility issue, maybe a blowout a knee or an ankle or something. Don't throw in the towel. Maybe, maybe look at it as just a different way to see Walt Disney World for one shot. Uh,
Well, and when you're someone who gets to go with some frequency, whether it's well several times a year like y'all, or once a year, once every couple of years, you can, and y'all have discussed this on a pod before, and I love you brought this up. You can afford to stop and smell the roses. This is hard to do at Magic Kingdom because you're just looking at the app and you're like, oh my gosh, we can go get in this queue, we can go do this, right, whatever. But at Epcot, especially, I think, or at Animal Kingdom, there's just so much atmosphere to take in, and it's so enjoyable to just go slowly, walk around, enjoy being in the park, stumble upon something new, something we got to do this time, which I've always liked to do, but can't always make it happen, is to go into the American, adventure,
Mhm.
and watch the Voices of Liberty perform. I'm a singer and I sing in choir, and so that's right in my lane. And so we got to go and watch them, and they were terrific. And then, in what other atmosphere do cast members perform and then stick around to chat with the
I
audience?
agree. Hey,
It's
you're
it's
so
just
alive.
so it's
Yeah,
so cool, and they're so kind and so gracious after putting on a wonderful performance. And so these are the things that you can do if your entire day isn't bent on jumping from one e-ticket attraction to the next.
and again, like I just said, we're kind of so alike because as I finished up Dopey, right? You finish in the parking lot of Epcot, and because I have an annual pass, so I had to make a theme park reservation. So I made my reservation for Epcot so I could walk back into the park. And I figured I'd be hungry. So I figured, I'd get like a bomb kuchkin, and I didn't. I forgot what I got. I got something to eat. Oh no, what I did was I went and got I got a margarita and some empanadas in Mexico. Surprise there. Everybody knows me. And then
It's
I was
Mike. It's the best snack and drink in Epcot.
man, I have no idea.
I'll die on that hill. The marga's incredible. The empanadas are killer.
Well, hey, it was even better that day because one, it was only 10 o'clock in the morning, but I was hungry. I
Time
mean,
doesn't.
26 miles. And so the empanadas were rocking. And a lady standing next to me at the cantina at Mexico, right? She's like, I want to buy a marathon or a margarita. I was like, huh, I have a medal. I'm like, I'm a marathoner. Just the lady.
Well, man, you are in luck.
I'm like, heck yeah, she bought me the top shelf. I'm like, dude, if I'm buying one, I'm buying the cheapie. So I had a top shelf margarita and the empanadas, and then so I eat those real quick, and I watched everybody else finish the marathon for a couple hours, and then I went. Then I was like, I need something sweet, so I went back to, and you're talking about World Showcase being just amazing. I went back to France, got a beignet because I need something sweet. Dude, by the way, the beignets in France back there have chocolate inside of them.
I have not had those yet.
I didn't even know. They're like a big, I mean, they have like injected, like soft, like chocolate mousse.
Sold.
Oh,
I'm in.
So good. You got to get two of them. I only got one. I was disappointed. And
if you insist.
But then what I wanted to wrap up with, though, because it's just me. I was all by myself that day. Just like you, I wanted to go watch Voices of Liberty and see the American Adventure. I mean, because I just want to sit down at that point. I was tired. But I think that Voices of Liberty is kind of the essence of what World Showcase is, right? I mean, it's live performances. It's something that kind of moves. I'm very patriotic, right? It moves you. It's beautiful when you're in that rotunda. There's something to the sound of that harmony. And like you said, they stuck around after. Like a couple of them saw my medals. They came over and said congratulations. They don't have to do that. They could sing their songs and leave and take, because I'm sure that's their break time. But it was a great interaction. I mean, again, it's kind of like living with the land. It reminded me of like, this is Epcot in 1985 or 1987. It's like taking a step back in time, and it made my heart full.
And even though what the park has ended up becoming isn't what Walt had envisioned Epcot to be, you can certainly imagine how attractions like Living with the Land and performances like Voices of Liberty and the show The American Adventure, that feels very Walt. Those feel like the kinds of things that he would want to have in his parks, and those are nice to experience.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, there's a place for everything. Guardians is a great coaster. I mean,
it's incredible.
I can't do it, but I get why everybody loves it. I mean, it's amazing, and there's a place for every. I think it'd be better in the studios personally, but there's something for everybody. But I just think we got to make sure we be careful not to shoehorn things out like American Adventure and Living with the Land. And I'm worried. Because you're a big Disney history fan, right? Too. I'm worried about the seas. I'm worried about the aquarium.
The only thing that gives me hope is that one thing they're doing with Epcot right now, clearly, is they're trying to find ways to incorporate more existing IP. Whether it's with Remy when they added the Finding Nemo overlay with the aquarium, whether the Moana Journey of Water exhibit. So as long as like they like find a way to like work the IP in with the existing park, I'm cool with it.
I
I don't want it to become the Marvel park. That would be a shame.
No, yeah. The only thing worries me about the aquarium is I know that thing has to be a cash cow. That thing has to cost a fortune to maintain. That
Yeah,
thing's
I'm
huge.
I'm certain of it. I'm certain
I'm
of it.
sure
But yeah,
that's
but
those.
maybe as long as Nemo is a marketable thing, maybe I'm being foolish, but
They
I
say
hope
it
that's the
is.
case.
There'll have to be like a Nemo, Finding Nemo 7. He'll have to get lost for like the fifth. Nemo,
We lost Dory again.
Where'd you go this time, Nemo? Okay. So what you took a midday break over to the boardwalk. I love this idea when you're at Epcot. So how did that go?
So Boardwalk is where we stayed on our honeymoon. So if you're noticing a pattern, we're trying to do what
I
we
love
can
this.
to sort
I
of
love
commemorate that. And we our initial thought, which because you booked this trip for us, our initial thought was to stay at the Boardwalk on this trip, and that just ended up not being realistic for our price range. And so at the very least, we thought, well, we're spending all day at Epcot. We're 10 minutes away from the Boardwalk. We can go walk over there, just take it in, sit down, take a midday break, and that's what we did. It wasn't we didn't go eat anywhere or sit down and order anything. We didn't go and buy a $150 slice of cake or whatever they're serving at that new place. We just walked into the lobby. We just walked in the lobby, sank into some cozy armchairs, charged our phones for about 20 minutes. Let our feet rest for a minute, and then said, "Okay, you good?" And then kind of walked through the resort a little bit, at least far enough to get to where our elevator bank was on our honeymoon, and then said, "Okay, we're good. Let's head back to the park." So it was a very short break. We weren't out of the park for more than an hour, if that. But just got to go to one of our favorite places in Walt Disney World and rest a little bit and just kind of share that moment together. And that was a very small moment, but a very special one.
Did you guys at least take a selfie or something over there? Come on,
I'm not certain that we did.
Oh,
But even if we did, it would have been zoomed in so much there would have been nothing relevant in the background.
you
Like,
guys check in
and
on
here's us on the monorail. Here's us at Boardwalk. Here's us at the
Swarm.
airport, and it's all the same picture.
I know. I mean, but now with geolocation and like I'm one of the 3 people in the world that still uses Swarm, which used to be Foursquare back in the day. Because
Yeah,
I used to love Foursquare. I used to love being the mayor of everything at Walt Disney World. I'd be the mayor of like Bus Stop 2 at the casitas at Walt Disney World. I still love that app, and nobody
that
else.
was
It's
that was big. That was big when I was in college at Oklahoma State, and so you'd be the mayor of like whatever room you had most of your classes in.
yes. I'm still the mayor of our Taco Bell for sure. Nobody's getting that sucker. I can tell you that much. All right. So one other thing that day, you guys went to Le Cellier. You said the good and the bad. So tell what happened.
Le Cellier, wonderful. Once again, that was recreating a honeymoon experience. We went on a honeymoon. It was our first time at Le Cellier. We loaded up on bread and poutine, and we were on the dining plan, and so we had our steaks coming, and we had dessert coming, and we were so full we barely touched our steaks, and they had to serve us our dessert to go. And we felt like we had absolutely embarrassed ourselves and not been worthy of our table at Le Cellier. So going back, we were really excited to go there. We had seen on TikTok about the ribeye for 2 that they serve with the little beef fat candle. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's pretty cool. The only thing is that they were just really really behind on seating their parties, and it was a chilly night, and so it was uncomfortable and frustrating waiting kind of right there just outside the doors or in their tight little waiting area. And it was probably an hour after our reservation time, not quite that, 45 minutes after reservation time that we sat down. Now, from that point forward, the service was terrific. The food was outstanding. The idea that they have a sauce flight is absolutely right up my lane because I'm here for all of your condiments and all of your sauces. And so it was once we finally got seated, Le Cellier was just an incredible experience. The real downside of how long we had to wait was that it was just before 9 o'clock that we left, and we were hoping to make it back to Living with the Land to right after dark and see all the Christmas lights up in the greenhouses. But we got to the entrance of the Land Pavilion at about 9:05 when they were closing and locking the doors. We were sad to miss out on that, but perspective, it's not a huge thing. We had a terrific dinner and terrific service.
Someday, this podcast, we're gonna have to make a Hall of Fame of lines I never thought would be uttered on a podcast, and that I love. You just said I love that I had a flight of sauces and condiments. Like, dude, where are we ever talking about that on a podcast before? But I can just picture like a sauce and a condiment flight. I mean,
yeah, and we were already planning on buying the sauce flight, but then we ordered the big ribeye for 2. She said, and that comes with 2 sauces. And I said, okay, so we're going to get the sauce flight also. So tell me what sauces we need to double up on.
So like what kind of sauces? I mean, in condiment, like what? Because I have no, I gotta check this out on TikTok. Apparently, I mean,
all right. So, but when you go to a nice steakhouse, you get to pick what kind of sauce you want served with your steak. And ketchup and barbecue an A1 are not on the list. I'm sorry.
I'm an A1 guy, so
I'm a big A1 guy too. But time and place, right? But they have I might not remember all of them. A béarnaise, which is like a classic creamy eggy steak sauce, which is lovely but very fatty. A truffle butter, once again, so much flavor, so rich. A sauce verte, which is kind of like a chimichurri. If you like chimichurri, which I love chimichurri, that's really terrific. A red wine like demi glace. Just this really wonderful silky red wine sauce.
Wow.
And one more that I'm not remembering, but basically you just get these little ramekins of sauce served on your table with your steak, and you just kind of take them on a tour.
Oh my God, that sounds so good.
Right.
Just takes it to the next level. I love that. All right, before I have to rush out and try to find some dipping sauce steak, let's go to the next day over at the Magic Kingdom. So you did a half day here, and then you're going to do a full day the next day at the Magic Kingdom. So you're going to do a day and a half. First of all, tell me about you have breakfast at the park at Friar's Nook. So tell us about how you kicked off the day.
So we grabbed some iced coffees from the resort, which was a wild move because it was cold both of our days at Epcot, but got iced coffee. But then we got into the park right around the time of park opening. We sort of missed early entry. This was my compromise for wake up times. My wife got the breakfast bagel from the Friar's Nook, and I got the new sort of Tiana beignets. And the beignets were fine. Nothing special about them. They're tasty. They're sweet. Well, I've had better beignets, but who cares? And my wife really enjoyed the breakfast bagel. It was a nice little. She's really got to get some protein in there to start the day, and so that's a good option. And we found it can be hard sometimes to find like filling quick service food at Magic Kingdom.
100%. Something with protein.
It's a treasure trove for sugary snacks.
It is.
But to get some meat and protein in you without going to sit down somewhere, it can be really, really difficult. But that worked out just fine for her. Then I can go until lunch until I have protein. So yeah, that worked out okay for us. But yeah, it was going to be a short day at Magic Kingdom because we had plans to leave and go spend the afternoon over at Saratoga Springs and Disney Springs. So we were pretty determined to hit the ground running and make the most of that half day.
So you mentioned a transportation hack and just you were heading, like you said, you're heading over to Saratoga DVC tour. But what was the transportation hack and how'd you fill out your morning?
Yeah, well, what I wrote was transportation hack because is it a hack if it costs you $30? My backpack is just always going to get flagged by security, and we got sick of waiting for the buses, and so at my wife's suggestion, we grabbed a lift over to the Grand Floridian from our hotel, and from the Grand Floridian took the monorail to the Magic Kingdom. The monorail is really nice and a lot of fun. If you're staying at a non-monorail resort, you might not get the chance to use it. But also you can go through your park security there at the resort where you get on the monorail. And not that security is any more lax or anything. They're very professional. They do a great job, but it's a shorter line and they're typically a little bit more sort of friendly and patient with you. And there's something about my backpack. It's just always going to get flagged by security. No matter, I've heard everything. Take out your glasses case, take out your umbrella, I've tried it all. Sometimes my backpack just hits on that detector and I'm pretty confident I'm always going to lose, 3 to 6 minutes at security. So it made for a nicer, more calm park transportation experience to not go through the bus transportation and then the park security checkpoint. But I'm not sure if it counts as a hack if you have to pay for a Lyft ride to do it. But
It's true.
we enjoy doing it.
I mean, yeah, happy wife, happy life too. I mean, your wife wants to do 100, it's worth $100. That's what I say. So now let's kind of jump ahead because I want to make sure we get all this in. That you guys did that DVC tour over at Saratoga, but then you spent the evening over at Disney Springs. Kind of give us some highlights of what happened after you hopped out of the Magic Kingdom.
So we're casually interested in DVC. It's probably in our future, not in the immediate future, but we wanted to do a little bit more fact finding. And mainly, we knew that if you went and did that little pitch and tour with them, they hit you with a little $200 gift card, and we wanted them to pay for our dinner that night. So no, we weren't pulling a fast one. We truly are interested. We weren't going to make any decisions that day. Had a great time at Disney Springs. Met with a really, really kind DVC sales rep named Tony, who was very, very kind and understanding and answered a lot of our questions and had a good experience. I left my sunglasses in the minivan, and I'll never see those ever again. But don't worry, they were cheap. And then
how much were the sunglasses? Because
those were $20.
$180
because I left my good sunglasses in an Uber over the summer. Are we noticing a pattern? And so then we took the boat transportation from Saratoga Springs over to Disney Springs to spend the evening because we had a reservation at Morimoto, which I'd been excited about for months. And so we did a little shopping, spent quite a while in World of Disney. Most of that time we spent just looking for each other when we get separated.
Totally hear
so big and so crowded. We're like, well, I wanted to show you this, but it took me 20 minutes to find you.
I can't find
it. But Disney Springs is just so nice in the evening, even when it's a little chilly. We stopped in the Ganachery, tried to see Chef Amanda, couldn't see Chef Amanda. And then had a drink over at Raglan Road, and then had one of the best meals I've ever had at Walt Disney World over at Morimoto. They for me are now in the conversation for the best overall restaurant on property.
So I have not been there since it opened. I went there for a media event when they opened it, and the food I had there that night was amazing. But I haven't been back just because my family's not. But my family's not really into the upscale like dining.
Okay.
I've always wanted to go back because the food I had was just unbelievable that day. And you agree, it's worth
strongly it. Chinese and generally Asian food is my favorite variety of food, and I do love upscale dining when it works in the pocketbook. And so the service and the quality of food was just incredible. We had like their kind of crispy, spicy Thai ribs and a little bit of sushi, and then we had the Peking duck for our entree, which was killer. Every bite was perfect. So that's a really, really special meal.
Like those lights that come down. It's just, I mean, it's beautiful in there.
Yeah, and these lighting fixtures, which if you look closely, realize that they're like really long, elaborate, interconnected things that span through multiple rooms in the restaurant, and wonderful sort of pictures all along the walls, and just an A+ overall restaurant experience there at Morimoto. If you are even remotely interested in upscale Asian food, it's the best.
Glad you brought that up because folks are always looking for something different, and we don't talk Morimoto very much. But I was that was back 2016, so it's been a minute or two. All right, so the next day, again, kind of the theme. It was cold when you were down there. It was cold when I was there too. It's been cold there. It's been a cold January down there. So this is going to be a full day. You did have Lightning Lane multipass, what they're calling Genie Plus, or the change there. Got there, you got your coffee at Cafe Rick's, breakfast at the park again. So how did you maximize your time here at Magic Kingdom, and how'd it go?
Yeah, so we knew this would be a full, complete park day from basically as soon as we get there in the morning all the way till park closing. And so we wanted to take advantage of that time and do as many attractions as possible. And recognizing it being on a Friday, it being a holiday week, it was going to be crowded, and it was really crowded. It was a very, very busy park day, even for Magic Kingdom. We took really, really full advantage of our Lightning Lane. We're able to make our Lightning Lane selections ahead of time now. I think we got, I want to say, Haunted Mansion and Peter Pan's Flight and Jungle Cruise, I want to say. And so, no, sorry, Buzz Lightyear and not Jungle Cruise. We were able happily to grab a rolling fast pass for rolling fast pass, like it's like 2015.
We are everybody
to get a lightning lane later on in the
yeah,
day.
everybody, we all know what you're saying.
I mean, Fast Pass Plus. This is 2015, right? Able to get on Lightning Lane for Jungle Cruise a little bit later in the day. So we probably throughout the course of the day got on 9 or 10 attractions with our Lightning Lane. And you make your peace that unless you're going to give up a third of your day, you're not going to get on probably Space Mountain. You're not going to get on Seven Dwarfs, which I'm fine with because I don't like that ride at all. Tiana's wasn't going to happen because my wife couldn't ride it with pregnancy, and I wasn't going to get wet in that cold weather after waiting in line for 2 hours.
Right, is yeah. I'm not getting wet.
Yeah, so we had a really, really great day, sort of taking our time and just enjoying and savoring Magic Kingdom. We rode the steamboat for the first and probably the last time.
I thought the first time. I'm like, yes, that's the exact same thing. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and I had good timing on that because we caught the beginning of the Festival of Fantasy parade as we were pulling out of the station. We saw it as it was kind of rolling down that strip on Frontierland. So really, really had a terrific, full, busy but sort of patiently paced day at the Magic Kingdom.
I gotta ask you. You put hot take on the the cheeseburger spring rolls because I had them for the first time over Marathon weekend too. So what was? I'm guessing you didn't like them. You don't agree?
I like them just fine. The pizza ones are way better.
I didn't get a pizza one. I got the cheeseburger ones, and I thought they were pretty good. They lived up to the hype for me. They were good.
They were good. I'm not here to speak ill of the cheeseburger spring rolls, but when you walk up to a little cart, you can get 2 of one variety, or you can order 1 of each. I was like, well, let's get 1 of each. And they serve the cheeseburger with like this fry sauce, dipping sauce, and then the pizza one comes with like a marinara sauce.
Yeah.
And I thought that the pizza spring roll was way, 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 way tastier than the cheeseburger one. I don't know if that lands me in like Disney TikTok jail. But it was good. The pizza was better.
So hey, I'm going back down we're doing a live show from Give Kids the World in March. So you know what? I'll hop over there for research purposes. Cause I turned my into an annual pass. So this gives me the opportunity to bop in there, use my annual pass and get me the pizza.
Get 1 of each, try them side by side and make a decision for science.
Yeah, totally. I'm glad you gave me the permission there. All right. So you're also not a fan of the Pecos Bills. You know what? I'm kind of not. I'm very traditional. I like the old fajitas and stuff like that. Like I looked at it a couple times, and I never ate at Pecos Bills this entire trip.
Pecos was such a standby, just like so steady Eddie, so consistent. It was just like a nacho plate. You're gonna get a huge mess of chips. The middle ones are all gonna be soggy. Plenty of beef or chicken, sour cream, cheese, yada yada. There's nothing special or fancy about it, but it does the job.
Yeah.
Well, we rolled into Pecos Bills looking for lunch because we ended up deciding to cancel our lunch reservation at Tony's Town Square. And they didn't have the nachos, they didn't have those fajitas anymore. And I ordered a burger, like a chili cheese burger, something like that. And mid. It was like someone took a bad Frito chili pie and just dumped it on like an overcooked cheeseburger, and it got the job done. I had a meal and was filled for the rest of the day basically, but the sort of reliability of Pecos Bills was shattered for me.
I kind of like how you call that though, because I'm very similar. Like Pecos Bills was like always there, and I always went in there and got the fajitas. Like that was, or like you said, like an order like the nachos, like we get the beef nacho kind of thing. Like it was just there was nothing fancy about it, but it was like good protein, good something to fill you up, and it was a good value. It was very basic.
It was pretty tasty too. Yeah, for what it was pretty tasty.
Good, yeah. And now I mean, I guess they have to refresh their menus maybe they make the restaurants do that every once in a while to juice things up. I don't know, but I mean,
this may be shrinkflation because Columbia Harbor House is shrinking their portion sizes too.
I saw that too because I ate there twice, and I was shocked at the sampler platter size.
We were planning. Our whole plan was to split that like trio platter, and we got them like, well, I guess we're having a lighter lunch than we intended.
Yep, it was small because it used to be gigantic, right? And
yeah,
I got the same thing, and I was like, whoa. This ain't as big as it used to be.
They probably realized that they were serving way more food than one person needed.
I know it was way too much, but this was because I mean there was that controversy I guess like a year ago, and that was the first time I was like, well, here it is right in action because it is not gigantic here, but it was good.
Wow.
It was not as big. It was normal sized. Any other like highlights from that day, like because you said you did some of the viral foods. Anything else that stood out?
We got the that creme brulee croissant at Gaston's Tavern, delicious. We both kind of thought it might be a little bit better if it was served warm, but really tasty. But speaking of it's sweet snacks at Magic Kingdom, it's really sugary, really tasty. Back at Epcot, we got the from the caramel kusha caramel place in Germany, got the chocolate Mickey cookie sandwich with the caramel and cream in the middle.
Oh, I've had that. That thing is
that's killer.
Yes, it is. I got
that is killer, but it's dangerous to eat by yourself. You really should split it with one or two other people. It's so rich.
I was there by myself and destroyed it, and my stomach hurt later. But I didn't.
Oh my god! Really, really, really tasty. I like that a lot.
That's a good call. Yeah, because I was just wandering through there one day, because the concert was getting ready to happen. And I was just like, well, I'll just walk through here because I have like an hour to kill. That was a bad decision because I bought that thing. Like a Coke Zero, and I was like, oh, I'll just nibble on this thing here, and then nibble the whole thing away. It was I
was going to have my month's portion of sugar.
Yeah, not good. Okay, let's see here. Make sure that does not happen. Windows is trying to update on me. Let's not let that happen. All right, so we're getting ready to wrap up before Windows decides to take over here. One last thing you put on the notes here, I wanted to kind of get. You said that Allison, your wife, had she got a s'more at the ganachery. Now you were mentioning somebody. Is that the lady that's in the video?
Yeah. Well, I mentioned Chef Amanda. She is maybe only in our house, but she's a bit of a celebrity for us. When you're watching that, whatever they call it, WDW today or whatever that loop is.
I know who you're talking about because of that video. Yeah,
she is the head chef or whatever in charge of the ganachery there at Disney Springs. But she also appeared on a short-lived Disney Plus original series that we watched during COVID called Be Our Chef. And it was like a family cooking competition show. And they would have each episode have like a different member of like the Disney culinary team come in and judge the contestants, and Chef Amanda from the Ganachery was the judge on one of those episodes. And so between that show, which we watched a couple of times because it was just a little kind of comfort show for us, and then seeing her on the park TVs, and then my wife has seen stuff from the Ganachery on social media. She was like, I have to meet Chef Amanda.
Of course.
I have to go to the Ganachery. So we went there, and it was lovely. And she got one of the great fresh s'mores they make there with like the fresh marshmallow, which she had been dying to get, and she was so glad she ordered one. Chef Amanda was not there. This was at like 6 p.m. Of course, Chef Amanda wasn't there.
Teachers, right? Teachers are there 24/7. We live at school. That's exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's like going to like a Guy Fieri restaurant. And be like, I wonder if Guy's going to be here. Yeah. Like not quite. So Ganachery was still a wonderful experience, and Allison had been wavering whether she's going to get chocolate or get the s'more. I was like, get the s'more. This is why we're here. So she did, and she ate it, and it was a nice experience. Even though we'll have to wait until the next time to meet Chef Amanda.
Well, she'll be waiting for you. And you know what? That again, this is why I love these shows. I learn something new every time we do a Monday show because my wife is a huge s'mores fan. Okay, she's been so bitter for like the last 5 or 6 years that Dairy Queen has not brought back the s'mores blizzard. It's like my favorite thing in the world. Like, how do they not have the s'mores blizzard? It's the best thing they've ever. They have not had it for like 5 years, and they're bringing it back this summer. That's a big deal. And she's still bitter at 50's Primetime Cafe because when we first started going, that was like their big dessert. They gave you this gigantic s'more. It was like the dessert. They haven't had that probably in a good 10 years.
Okay, but they've also got one of the world's best milkshakes. So
I'm with you on that. She doesn't care that I love that milkshake. She just wants that because back in the day, she'd get that thing. It was like the size of a plate. And I have many pictures of her with her s'mores dessert, and she was the happiest person in the world. And then the year we went back and it was gone, and she had to get the alternate dessert, she was not happy. It was a sad picture. I was in trouble. It was like I didn't pull it off the menu, but I caught the heat for it. So you know how that is. So not good.
Yeah.
But anyway, hey, great show. Love getting to go down to Walt Disney World. So we know who won't be in Epcot in ringing in 2026. It'll be Mitch. You'll be chilling.
No, y'all have fun without me.
That's good though. I like that you know where you need to be, because you would not be having fun in there. So Mitch, I appreciate it, and congratulations on 10 years, and congratulations on the new arrival coming here soon. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me. Love the show.
All right. Don't forget, today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney vacation for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys keep us on the air. We could not do this without you. You can support us as well, just $5 a month. And for that, you get a bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd love to have you. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. Give me a follow on social media at BeOurGuestMike. All my pictures from Disneyland, from all the races and all the fun in the parks, are there right now. So check it out at BeOurGuestMike on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter and Threads as well. Come over to the Be Our Guest Podcast Clubhouse, where we all hang out and talk Disney 24/7, 365, no cost, no fuss. It's just over at beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. And join us this Sunday night as we talk Disney. We take your calls. We open up the phones, and we'll be talking about the races. We'll be talking about anything that's on your mind. So join us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or Twitch. It's 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. Let's do it. Let's talk Disney and have some fun. Wait, is it Super Bowl Sunday this Sunday? We might have to rethink that, because I think it might be Super Bowl Sunday, but stand by for that. We'll have details on the social media, because if it's Super Bowl Sunday, we might not do it against that. We might move the time around. So stay tuned. But anyway, if we do, you know where to find us. So we're doing this a little bit early, so I got to rethink that because of the Super Bowl. But we're going to get out of here and hope you have a great week. So for Mitch down in Oklahoma, I'm Mike here in Missouri, who's apparently losing his mind. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Let me look at that real quick, because now that's bugging me. Okay, so let's see. This is going to come out. That is going to be Super Bowl Sunday, I think. Because let's see.
I think that's February 9th is the Super Bowl.
So this is going to come out on the 3rd.
Yes, that's right before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so we're not doing them on that night. I'm going to a Super Bowl party. Not that I'll care who wins, but we don't have a team, so it doesn't matter to me.
So you're not in on the Chiefs?
I'm not. I root against the Chiefs.
Fair enough.
Yeah, not a Chiefs fan.
I've been out for a couple of weeks now.
See, I do like the Packers guy. I mean, I don't root against the Packers. I guess if I had to pick a team left, to be the Bills.
Yeah, I'm rooting for the Bills now. They're a ton of fun.
Yeah, I think that's probably who I'm going for.
Sure.
But I mean, it's kind of nice, because I remember back when the Rams were here, and like, dude, it took years off my life every game. Like, except how Mizzou is. Like, I'm, obviously half my wardrobe is Mizzou, so yeah. I sweat every second of that. So it's kind of nice when the football's NFL. Like, if they win, they win. If they lose, lose. Don't have a dog in the race. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, that is kind of nice.
Well, I appreciate it, Mitch. You guys take care and stay safe down there. And I appreciate you being out there in the classroom, man. I know it's hard.
Yes, sir. Happy to do it. Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care, man. Talk to you soon.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.